let's make sure this is on. Let me know if you get a notification. Yeah, I think so. All right.
Young Dumb Music.
Being that I'm here right now, I'ma go and get it right now, get committed right now. I'ma do some shit that's gonna uplift a bunch of people's spirit right now, help them heal it right now. I'ma get them riches right now. Work plan, manifest, be speak that shit into existence right now. Can't slow down, got the vision wrote down, cause I seen it, man, I'm on right now. Focus in the motherfuckers where I'm in the zone right now. Ain't no later, dog, it's only right now.
And it's only right now.
It creates.
Right now.
No past, no future right now. All I got is right now. No past, no future right now. All I got is right now. Fuck what they did to me, gon' do, cause all I get is right now. Fuck what they did to me, gon' do, cause all I get is right now. So I focus on that when I can focus on now. Pull up at a beach on the outskirts of town. Enjoy the view and give thanks to the truth. And I go hit the yo just to shut that bitch down.
And I'm high right now. So alive right now. Clear skies right now. Living my life by my own rules. I feel what I choose.
Young Dumb Music.
Do it now. Gonna take some words, okay? And I'm right back at it. Divine alignment, fully automatic. I don't think about it. I just watch it happen. I just move toward it and I get supported. When I try to force it, it just get distorted. So I dance with it. Crystals all in my pants with it. Healing all in my hands with it. I'm an alchemist. I'm a master. I'm a rabbi. I'm a sensei. I'm a bad guy. I'm an alien. I'm an animal. I'm a cannibal. I'm so handsome, no. Yo.
And I'm high right now. Can barely open my eyes right now.
And that money we making it. Climbing these ladders and laying foundation, that's masonry. This shit is different, cause my dreams are literally chasing me. Grateful for where life is taking me. I'm living life, that's to say the least. Only true beauty can tame the beast. Only true love can tame that beast.
Are you here with me right now? Right now. Vibe with me. Vibe with me right now. Right now, yeah.
You guys are back. Oh man, I can't hear myself at all.
I can hear myself.
Can you?
Oh hell yeah! Now I can hear you too though.
Oh, okay. I just can't hear me. I like hearing myself for some reason.
I do too. It's reassuring.
Hey. All right. I'll get some new headphones when we get our guy in here. But yes, you are back on the Bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. Of course, today we have some good topics on the show, as always, we like to think. All right. We're going to be previewing the Denver Nuggets and Phoenix Suns. I think that's going to be a really good matchup. Really interesting.
Is
we'll
that
get into that.
That's the first series that's set, right, for the second round?
Yes.
I mean, like we think you might know who's going to win, but like that's the only one that's like locked in. That's the matchup.
Exactly. NFL draft is right upon us.
What, tomorrow they start?
Yeah,
picking
man. Yeah.
First round.
Of course, we're going live here on Wednesday night, so the draft is Thursday. All right. We got Drake and Future hopping in DMs. We're going to ask you guys, should Kawhi retire? We'll talk about that. Is Jimmy Butler a superstar? Charles Barkley donating money to my HBCU. And a lot more, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
Big checks, stroking checks.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Charles, man.
Was it publicly disclosed how much?
Yeah. A little over $1 million or at $1 million. So
nice.
Not any chump change, man.
That's
He also donated to Jackson State. But we'll get into that. All righty. I wanted to start here before we got into some sports here and stuff like that. A little introspective. Is that how you say it?
Introspective. You're being introspective.
Yeah, I'm trying to at least.
All
I'm gonna make an attempt.
Hopefully it goes well.
We shall see. So, and first of all, On the Bench, we're available on all podcast streaming platforms, including here on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. This is home of sports, music, and mayhem.
Yeah, I'm getting recognized publicly. I was at the gym the other day, and somebody's like, "Yo, I saw you on a podcast." Yeah, that's me.
That's always good, man. I don't think I've had too many of those moments. It's been a few months.
Yeah.
But definitely, I get people telling me they're watching all the time, so
That's good.
that's good. That's always good. We appreciate
Keep the numbers
you guys.
high and let them fly.
That's right. That's it, man. So, I was thinking earlier today, and I've been thinking all throughout the day about this particular aspect here. Two things. One is being mature, right? I do think maturity comes with age, but I didn't think that back in the day, but I can see.
Where did you think it came from?
Well, I just think I guess I used to think you're either mature or not, because there are mature young people, like that's a thing.
Yeah.
But now what I think is even those mature young people, they just get more mature as they age.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, there's a level. There's levels to everything as far as that.
Well, it is perspective. Like you could be talking to somebody who's 18 or 19 years old, and they can strike you as mature, but you can still recognize this is not the same as talking to somebody who's like 40 years old.
Exactly. And it's just always a good thing to when you recognize how far or how much you have matured over the years, because as you age, you have more responsibilities, and things may happen to what could provoke you. So now just things don't provoke you at all. And
It could be a drop in testosterone as well. Don't rule that out.
So, and my mic is a little loud here, I see. Okay, so what that leads me to is a term respect.
RESPECT.
And I was thinking all day today, and I was thinking like, man, I don't give a damn about respect.
You don't.
Like, in this world, when I really boiled it down, I really did some thinking about this. The only two things that I really care about in this entire world,
Money and pussy.
that's it.
Oh, I nailed it.
Money and coochie. Everything for me, every man is different, but everything for me boils down to money or coochie. Whether it's, even if it's children, my children would come from a coochie. I have to care about their coochie. I have to take care of their coochie.
And you got to spend money on them.
I have to spend money on the kids. That's how I take care. That's how I would take care of my family or whatever. Take care of the coochie. Everything would come down to money or coochie. Whether I have a business or I have a job that I have to maintain, people I have to take care of, stuff I have to buy, whatever it is. That's it. What can respect do for me? Why should I give a damn if a person respects me or not? That doesn't. It don't do anything for me. Respect is like a tangible thing. You can't. It's not a tangible thing. You can't grab onto it. It's respect is like. It's like it's like a belief, or it's like it's not a real thing.
It's interesting. I have some different views on this. I definitely do. Broad, like wide sweeping respect is not of much value to me, because it's like I don't care if an idiot respects me. That doesn't do anything for me. But like I would say this, and I play a lot of basketball. It's like I want to earn respect on the court. Like, I know I'm not a great player. I know I'm an old player at this point. But it's like when I'm playing, I want to make the right play, do the right thing, bring value to my team. And I believe in doing that. Like, anybody that's playing me is going to walk up and go, they'll essentially respect my contribution. They'll respect what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I value that. Like, that's one of the things I'm okay with.
That's fine, but do you have to have it? I guess I'm coming from an aspect, yes, and that's another thing. I guess I left that out.
Anything,
I left that out. Well, and that's the thing. The only thing in life that I have to have is money and coochie. I would go
Right.
without either one of those two things. I'm in the crazy house.
True.
There's nothing else in the world that I can think of that I need that much outside of money and coochie.
That's true.
And
No,
respect is one of those things. I don't have to have it. It's nice to have. It's
Yeah.
nice to have a Bentley. It's nice to have a house with 30 rooms in it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why I guessed what you were going to say.
You know,
Right.
and another layer to that is, I do think, and I wish, like my community would be, because we're so crazy about needing respect from others in the black community, and I just wish, I wish we didn't care so much about it, because really what it comes down to is caring what others feel about you or say about you.
Yeah, so that there's a lot to unpack in this. Like, if it's money and coochie, and I agree with you on that. That's not like, really don't have anything to do with respect. That's like right up there with air. Like, if you don't have those things, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
That's those are like essential things.
Yes.
Like, why do I continue living? And I've said, like, if you get to the point where, like, whatever, you can't have sex anymore. Like, you're 85 years old. Like, okay, let's die. What are we waiting for? Like, let's get this over with. I mean, it's just that simple.
But I
Like,
guess
there's
that's in line with what I'm
not
saying.
a lot of things, and I agree with you on that. The respect, though, I mean, when respect is like legitimately earned, it does make the quality of your life better. When people recognize what you do or how you conduct yourself, and they respond to that, it's rewarding internally to have that. But if your notion of respect is really just like gaping insecurity, pleading for respect, that I think is what you're talking about.
No, it's
closer to that. Like you're like,
it is, but it isn't.
people better respect me, whatever. But like, what have you done to earn that?
Right, but it's not about whether it's a good thing or not. I know that it's an added bonus and things like. What I'm saying is not something I have to have. I don't care if I don't have it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
my
I
thing.
get that.
It's not going to, if it's not affecting my money or my coochie, it's like it's okay if I don't get it, right?
Yeah, I get that.
But like, to have, like, we have real songs, because you grow up and it's in the music, it's your cousins, it's your uncles, it's like, I'll die about my respect.
Yeah,
No, I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not. I don't
See,
care.
Okay, see that, like, okay, in that context that you're referring to me, that is insecurity.
Yeah.
You are pleading to get this respect that you think you deserve. But what have you done to deserve it? And
Right.
why is it so important to you?
Right.
And who are you getting it from? Like, if it's just this generic across the board, it's completely meaningless.
Yeah.
But if it's connected to something that you value, then it's different. If it's like, okay, like I just said, I like to play basketball. I have a standard for myself when I play that I want to play a certain way. And I think if I do that consistently, people that know what's going on in basketball will say, oh, that guy knows what he's doing. And I thrive off of that type of respect. I think we do a good job on this show. And if somebody comes and says, man, I'm enjoying what you guys are doing. We're putting in work and we're getting some feedback, and I appreciate that.
Right.
But to just respect me as a man, like not connected to my putting in work in a craft or displaying any level of character is irrelevant. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't see that. And I know there are a lot of people that's their thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna disrespect me like that? It's like, you haven't had any respect to begin with. Like, what have you done?
Exactly.
And I totally connect. I mean, I just think that's ridiculous. Like, when people just have this weird thing. But I always feel like those people are insecure.
Yeah.
That they're really not about a damn thing, and they just want to pretend that that the respect should just be delivered to them for some reason.
That's it.
You know.
Shout out to Kobe,
I like that
early
too.
watcher here. He said it was money and coochie. the only necessities of life.
They are.
I
you
agree.
know,
But yeah, and we're on the same page pretty much.
Food and air up there. We'll do so well without
I
those.
don't think we'll do so well without those.
Could affect our performance with the coochie.
No, but yeah, that was on my mind, and I just
Yeah,
because I just think a lot of and it comes down to some of that comes down to pride. I mean, you can mix whatever variations of words you want to in that.
Yeah.
But it just as far as that arena, I just feel like guys do too much for that said respect when in the grand scheme of things, it really just doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
As far as a necessity that you just have to have. All right. Once again, you guys are on the bench, man. On the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports music and mayhem. Before we get to these sports topics and others, we got one hip hop topic today. All right, let's get to our very first sponsor here, overkink.com. Use promo code Bubba Pink. All right, and you can be kinky all you want, man, at a discount. All right, that's promo code Bubba Pink.
Find your kink. Like maybe you didn't know you had it.
Yeah.
You get on Overkink, you're tooling around, and you're like, man, I got to get into that. So do it, but do it with the Bubba Pink discount code.
That's it, man. That is it. All right, here. Let's go to our guy Jimmy here, man. Now, of course, we all know if we haven't been living under a rock. All right, Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat had a crazy hot. What was that, game 4?
4, yeah, they're up 3-1.
Crazy hot game 4. 50-something points or whatever.
56.
56 points.
Which I think is tied for like 3rd or 4th ever in a playoff.
Really, really controlled the game from, quarter 1 to quarter 4. They're undermanned. They don't have Tyler Hero. They were the average to below average team to begin with. That's why they're the 8th seed. All right.
At the beginning of the season, you were quick to point out, to predict their demise.
Yes, I did.
And for the context of the regular season, you nailed it.
Yeah, I did. And also, like I said, he's been playing just so well this entire playoffs, as Jimmy mostly does in his playoff career. He's just a really great playoff performer. So what everybody's talking about now, what I see on social media is, why they never mention Jimmy with the Durants and the Jason Tatums and whatever. He's never mentioned, and that's a shame. He's always balling. And I think Jimmy is right where he's supposed to be. I don't think Jimmy Butler is a superstar.
Okay, I was going to say, where do you have him?
Right. I don't think Jimmy Butler is a superstar. I think he's a second tier player. I think of him right along the lines of a Jaylen Brown, just a first name that pops into my head.
So Jaylen Brown he's not been an all-star, correct?
Yes. He
has.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it was second time, but for sure he made it this year.
Did he?
And
okay.
then I'm pretty sure he's a 2-time All-Star though.
Okay.
All right. Jimmy Butler has been to the finals once. Jaylen Brown has been to the finals once. Not saying they're the same player or same level player. I'm just saying that he's in that tier. You can have Jimmy above Jaylen. That's fine. I'm saying they're in the same tier. And this is the reason for me saying that is like regular season matters, man.
Yeah.
Like you look at it, Jimmy Butler, has been load managing for like the last 4 or 5 years. Like the same thing Kawhi does. The only difference between him and Kawhi is that he doesn't get hurt as often in the playoffs.
Yeah, Jimmy's consistently available.
He's consistently available in the playoffs. So that's why we don't look at him in that same vein as a Kawhi. But regular season matters when you're stacking up legacies and if a guy's a superstar or not.
Yeah, no, and I look at it as there's a tier of superstars, which are just like anchor guys. Their teams, unless they're injured, are consistently top.
And there's only a couple
notch.
of those in the league. I hate that
Right.
they put that tag on so many different guys.
Then I kind of put below that, I'll kind of characterize it as like all-stars, which are guys who it's not just make one all-star game here in your career,
perennial
but
all-stars.
you're consistently on the all-star team. And then to me, there's the sub-all-star guy, and I had always regarded Jaylen Brown as like my favorite sub-all-star player. But I guess if he has made an all-star appearance, I have to revise that a bit. But yeah, the complicated legacy because, Bubble Jimmy was incredible. Like and like I know the Lakers won the series and LeBron was the better man, but like Jimmy Butler, stood in the middle of the ring and exchanged shots with LeBron James.
Yeah.
And didn't get embarrassed by any means.
No.
And that says something. That's about, who you are. So Jimmy Butler, to me, has kind of a complicated legacy, and I think it's completely fair to say he's not a superstar because he doesn't always play at his peak level,
right?
Whether it's load management or whatever. But, like, you kind of have to give him a slight upgrade on primetime performance and standing up and being accounted for in difficult playoff games. And I think, I'm not saying that raises him to the level of a superstar, but it puts a plus on his level because he's one of those dudes that when it matters, you can trust him. And I go back to his time in Philadelphia. Like, he was spectacular in the playoffs.
He was good.
Yeah.
And game winners. I mean, he had a stretch of, 3 game winners in that playoffs.
Yeah, and he was the guy that, Ben was Ben, but Ben was better Ben than we know now. And Embiid was good, but he wasn't fully realized.
No, he wasn't.
And,
he wasn't.
And Jimmy
this Embiid
was
at all.
just that guy, and
in
on
the
that
playoffs,
team,
Jimmy was our best player.
Yeah,
that year.
Exactly. And then then he's carried that forward to his Heat performances, including the other night. I mean, this is a team. I mean, put in context what they're on the cusp of doing tonight.
And let me interject that point because something just came to my realization. But this is another reason why Jimmy isn't a superstar. That Philly team, first of all, was a much better team than that Toronto Raptors team. They just were. What happened was Kawhi was the better man. Kawhi just outplayed Jimmy. Now, like you just said with LeBron, he stood in the ring. I mean, it went the full bout, but Kawhi was the better fighter. He was the better ball player.
Yeah.
And that seems to happen. That's a reoccurring thing.
Whenever it gets to that,
when it gets to that guy, when it gets to that superstar,
he puts up the good fight, but he's not the better guy.
But he's not the better guy.
That's fair. That's a good.
And sometimes he's had the better teams.
Yeah,
and it hasn't happened. So, and that's another reason. I just thought of that when listening to you, but that is another reason for me why I don't have him as a superstar.
No, that's really an excellent point. That is an excellent point, and it is funny because again, like you like numerically, you can put the stats together and he looks great. But again, in the final matchup, he's always fallen short.
Yeah,
that's tough. That is really tough. Yeah, and you could see even last year, Jason Tatum. Yeah, conference final.
Jason Tatum,
was better.
Yeah,
that's tough. But but he's even still he's a player I have special respect for.
But I wonder. Oh yeah, for sure. But I wonder how you view a guy like Jimmy post career, because when people look stats, like we don't, like, people don't scream playoff stats. Like nobody cares what your points per game was during the playoffs.
Right.
Like finals is a different thing because finals MVP comes into play. But like none of that other playoff stats matters. What did you average? What was your points per game average in the regular season? That's what everybody thinks about. It. Steals and awards. Like he's never going to be up for any awards because he really doesn't play.
You're not going to have those sort of accolades. And I mean, the reality is, and this is one of my things. In any generation, a couple of players transcend the generation, and the majority of the players are essentially forgotten. And Jimmy Butler is going to be forgotten. And it'll be one of those things where you and I, 15 or 20 years from now, there's going to be some dude, and they're going to be comparing him to LeBron James and telling us he played against farmers and part-time steel workers. And we're going to say, yeah, I mean, dude,
Jimmy
guys
Butler
could play. Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler could play.
Yeah.
And guys that never saw him play are gonna be like, what, he averaged 19 points per game in his career. Shit, I did that at the Rec.
Damn, that's a great point, man.
It happens all the time.
That's a great.
Dude, it's one of my most annoying things.
Because that's me. You're talking about me. And Will, Lee,
But that's what it is, man. But Jimmy Butler, unfortunately, is destined to be forgotten by history, but for those people who watched him play.
Yeah, exactly. And we know you can ball, Jimmy.
We'll keep saying it until our dying breath.
That's it. I'm not mad at all. I wish, if you could come back to Philly next year, I would goddamn pull up the goddamn car myself. I don't care how many games you miss in the regular season. I love how he, because they knocked us out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he was screaming on his way to the locker room. You don't know how much this hurt me. He was screaming, "Him over me." Talking about Tobias.
Yeah, Tobias.
Elton Brand picked fucking Tobias Harris over Jimmy.
Over him.
Him over me.
Yeah.
I just
And
wanted to get
him
on a
and-
plane and fly to Elton Brand's house and just
Just throw feces on him.
him over me.
That's funny.
Oh my fucking.
And the thing, like even the other day, like after the game, like he went out of his way to comment that he felt Joel Embiid is the MVP this year.
Yeah.
And it's
They
like,
have a
like,
great
they have a
relationship,
really
though.
genuine
Yeah,
affection
yeah,
for
yeah,
each other, which is
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Plus, Jimmy Butler's a soccer guy too.
Yeah, he is.
He enjoys soccer. He's boys with Paul Pogba. Yeah, man.
He's boys with that one actor from Boston too. That's always in the fighting type movies. He's done some
One
comedy
actor
stuff
from
too.
Boston?
Yeah. He's it'll come to me later.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with actors' names.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Because I get into the characters, so I know the characters.
Yeah,
names,
yeah.
but not their real
The
names.
name is character.
yeah, like,
The show.
yeah, I can name
Yeah,
his
that
characters.
guy,
He was
man.
Bobby on, like for real. But yeah, that's how that goes, man. So yeah, I mean, Miami. We'll see if they can close those guys out tonight. I think the Bucks win. I mean, but I've already been shocked. I know Giannis missed that game, and to be honest, this is an off year for Giannis. I hate that people go on social media. Oh, see, I've been telling y'all about Giannis this whole time. All he does is one thing. I mean, if you've been saying that, you've been quiet as hell for the last 3 years. I mean, these things happen.
Let's not get like Giannis led this team to like a high seed in the conference. He did miss probably more
number
games
one
than he's
seed.
missed in his career.
Yeah. Which wasn't in retrospect. It's not like it was 1,000. Like he missed. I think he missed like 28 games.
Well,
it's a good chunk, but
it
it's not
stands
crazy.
out because he's so consistently
so
been an Iron
consistent.
Man.
Yeah.
And like so missing that many games, it kind of stood out.
It did.
But he performed at extremely high level. His statistics were fantastic. His team is tops in the East.
Yeah.
And in this playoffs, I mean, he suffered this injury, missed a game, was impaired in another game, and he'll catch hell if they lose this.
Yeah.
No doubt. It's just the nature of the beast.
It's the nature of the beast, man.
But
And
we've talked on this show, like he was not out of the MVP discussion.
Not at all.
He wasn't the prohibitive favorite, but like
I think he's going to finish second.
Yeah.
At very worst, third, of course.
exactly. And here he could be on the cusp of a first round elimination as the top seed
To an 8th seed. That's tough.
to a play-in.
And I'm sure he's not 100%. And in
Yeah.
true Giannis fashion, we haven't heard anything about, some guys come out, yeah, I'm playing at 40%, trying
Yeah.
to stick it out for my team. That's not Giannis.
Yeah, man. He's just gonna go give what he's got.
That's
man.
it.
Yeah.
And I can respect that.
Yeah.
I'm so far removed from the Giannis hate train. I was on it.
Oh, you were on
Pink
it
can
big.
confirm. I was on the Giannis hate train.
I was on it. I was on the pro Giannis train early.
And I was so against them. Now I mean, nothing shy of taking babies from mamas. Like, it's nothing Giannis could do to make me hate him now. Like, I'm a Giannis guy. I'm sorry. You know? And my hate for Ben Simmons kind of highlighted that. But however it comes, it comes. I'm awakened now.
It was awakened.
Yeah.
It's all about growth, man.
That's it, man.
I had to take back my anti-Mike Brown segment, or sentiments last week when he was deserving of the Coach of the Year award.
There you go. And that's why you can sit and watch a podcast like us, because we're not going to just stick with our guns, and if you don't like a guy, you don't like a guy to the end of time. No, man. Guy performs well, coaches well. Got to give him his respect and credit, man.
Even though it's all money and coochie.
I was just going to say because Doc has been coaching pretty well here. And, I mean, yeah, it's against the lowly Nets. But even throughout the regular season, I haven't had much to say about him.
Yeah, that was a mildly entertaining Nets team. And, like, at the end of the day, look where we are. Like, the Sixers were the only team to take care of business.
Yeah.
Like, Boston's now in a little bit of a fight.
Yeah.
Milwaukee as the top seed is down 3-1. Denver was pretty smooth but threw a game away.
With Joel a little dinged up.
Yeah.
Like, I am so – you don't understand. Like, I was just talking trash about Trae Young. But I'm so elated that the Hawks like can pull another one out. Extend this thing a couple of days.
Every win is another couple of days of recuperation for Joel.
You know?
Yeah. It's really, And we were joking about it like the other day. We're like, man, if they could win one of these.
Yes.
And now they've won 2.
Now they've won
You
2,
got half
man.
a week in the tank.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to give Trae Young a couple dollars in the Atlanta strip club down there, man, during the summer.
Your next tour.
Yeah, man.
Send him over a tranny stripper.
I'll leave Doc's number for that. All right, once again. He just clicked it.
You know, like every time, it's funny though. Like when I'm on Twitter now, like anytime you like something that's a little on the edge, I think of Doc.
Somebody hacked my phone. Stop the foolishness, man. I'm hacking your phone. I'm going straight to your bank account. I'm not liking transsexual videos on Twitter, man. If I get somebody's phone, that's just not the first thing. It's not.
Be the Cash App guy.
I'm going, be the Cash App guy from Miami, man.
I'm gonna besmirch your name with bizarre porn. Oh, that's great.
Oh man. Shout out to all the divorced guys in the world. Just don't get lost, man. I mean, if you're going to pull the plug, have a plan in place, man, because you don't want to be lost like old Doc.
It's dangerous to be lost.
He's
It's hard to find your way
place.
home in a forest of tranny porn.
Shout out to Chris. He's saying that. He just said that on Facebook. Sixers are happy with Trae. Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Once again, you guys are on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. Let's go here next. The Clippers here. We're just talking about Kawhi in Toronto, so now we can talk about Kawhi in Los Angeles and their situation. So of course the Clippers were eliminated, and I don't know if it was Shams or which NBA guy came out with the news that Kawhi had actually tore his meniscus. And the thing is, because at first we just heard that Kawhi had dinged up his knee in Game 1, right? We heard that, and then it comes out he missed a game. But the whole time you're thinking like, okay, even if he missed this game, he's going to be back the next game, or definitely the next game. And then the news breaks after the series is over. He tore his meniscus.
I this goes back to Penny Hardaway in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
I think when there is a certain level of like vagueness about a person or player's injury, it is a disservice, because if we hear meniscus tear 4 weeks, ACL tear 8 months, we get it.
Yeah.
As fans, we understand. Like there's no expectation. But when you announce something as, soreness in the knee or back pain, and then it's like this thing of, oh, is he going to gut it out? Like, what are we doing? Like, and when a guy doesn't, he starts to get, catch hell. And Kawhi's caught hell. And yeah, okay, meniscus tear probably should be out. But again, like, that's not known until the series is over. And we've had 2 games of, what's wrong with this guy again? And I just think it's a disservice. I really appreciate, when you offer a degree of candor about what an injury is and what a recovery time looks like.
Yeah, and but not only for the fans,
but I mean,
even the day
it's
of the
for
game.
the player.
Yeah.
Because
for the actual player. Yeah.
There's like, okay, I understand what happened. This is a meniscus tear. There's no way you could expect a man to play in this situation.
Exactly.
And okay, if they could survive to get to the finals somehow, maybe we see him again.
Talking about the teammates, but I was saying even like Ty Lue. The day of the game, he was like, I just found out this morning that he wasn't going to play. Like that affects the team, and then you're wondering like, okay, is he going to come back the next game? How do we game plan?
All that stuff.
So now the Clippers, just to break it down to you, what type of situation the Clippers in, they're in a heap of it. I mean, they're in a heap of a pile of it, a manure, shit, whatever word you want to use here. And so here goes the thing. So Kawhi Leonard has 2 years left on his deal, in the high 40s, almost 50s. All right, for this year and next year. For next year and the year after. The year after is a player option. So
he still holds the cards. In
he
that
holds
situation.
the cards. Paul George in the exact same situation. Okay,
came in together.
So these two guys together, I read something today. They've only played 40% of their games in the 4 years that they've been there. Out of all the 4 years, they only played 40% together. That's terrible. Not going to cut it. The Clippers, in the history of the NBA, I didn't know this. In the history of the NBA, they have the second highest payroll.
That I had no idea.
That's crazy.
Their current payroll.
Their
talking
current
about,
payroll
is the second,
second highest
in
in
the history of the
NBA
league.
history.
Wow.
You know the new CBA rules just got finalized today, and we talked about in previous shows how they're going to come heavy after the teams with the high salaries on their roster,
Which I think is unjust for the record.
So, and it's not much they can do. And to give you an example, just of how the new rules are coming in, right? So they have the center Plumlee. If they offer Plumlee just a modest deal of $8 million to play next year because he's a free agent, that'll cost them $55 million
That's ridiculous.
just to retain Plumlee, a reserve center.
That is like, what interest does that serve? I mean, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
That you put teams in this situation.
Now,
You want to create a situation where teams can build.
yeah.
When they're rewarded for making good decisions. And I mean, the Clippers made, at the end of the day, a very bad decision to sign Kawhi Leonard and to move and make trades to get Paul George in the same free agent window. It's been a disaster. They did that as a win now, title contender, effort. And those two guys have been unavailable anytime it matters, and the team has been essentially irrelevant for that whole time.
Yeah.
And so that is a bad deal. And they're stuck with the money of paying those guys, like you just indicated. But why do we set up a system where, like, you're essentially doubly penalized for not even being able to sign like a career journeyman without significant financial penalty? What is the option? Like, do they have to then like get a complete veteran minimum guy, or do they have to keep a second round pick or street free agent on the roster just to be able to play without paying the extra money? That's retarded.
Yes, that's what they're going to have to do. And the thing is, when you go to look at their roster was constructed differently than a lot of other teams because they were essentially a really deep team, because their players from 5 to like 11 are all like NBA level caliber players. Like, so NBA teams are usually set up to where you have the 2 stars. Back in, we're a couple years removed from the 3-star thing, but you have 2 stars. Then you have your mid-level guy, maybe an additional one, mixed in with some minimum guys or rookie guys. The Clippers are all saddled with the Eric Gordons, the Westbrooks, the Plumlees, the Robert Covingtons. I can go on and on. And all of those guys are in the 10, 12, 15 ranges. It's a lot of those guys.
But and again, like you go last night, Covington, DNP-CD.
Yeah.
And he's been a good NBA player.
And Powell is another guy.
Yeah,
they're loaded with those guys.
Yeah.
It's the same salary level. So now you have to make decisions because, like Westbrook, is a free agent, right? They can only offer him $3.8 million. They can't offer him a dime over. So I was listening to some things today to where they were saying, well, Westbrook has made a crazy amount of money in his career. Maybe he does take that. Because he came out in his press conference and was saying, hey, this is as happy as I've ever been. I was in kind of a dark place, whatever, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so maybe he takes that to stay with the Clippers.
Yeah, maybe.
But, and then what happens is, Kawhi tears his meniscus. I don't know if he misses X amount of beginning of next season. But maybe just throw Russ out there with some minimum guys and just let him go to shit. But here goes the bad part about that. They don't have any picks. They have 1 pick in the next, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily they have the Ballmer guy, the owner, because he's filthy rich. I think he's one of the top 3 richest owners in the league.
Yeah.
So maybe you just go tax heavy and just try to run it back. That's really your only option.
Well, right, it's to run it back basically, and it's not been a winning formula. I mean, if you're the Clippers, I really feel you gotta want to just blow it up. And just start anew.
But the thing about blowing it up is who takes on George and Leonard.
Yeah,
you don't have any. Sometimes in those situations you have to include picks to offload guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would exhaust all efforts to blow it up, and maybe realistically you can. I don't know. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at it and a deal or lack of deal is there or not, you have to make the best decision. But I would go into this offseason thinking that dramatic change is the pathway.
Yeah.
And if it means getting rid of, if you could get rid of one of those two guys and create a little bit more roster flexibility, if you can convince Russ to stay, and again, what they have is just not a winning formula.
It's just not.
And you can't continue to just essentially waste years of the franchise being a mid-level playoff team.
Yeah.
Who that whole core is just getting older and older and older.
So I heard some options on Kawhi. You tell me which, if you were advising him, So you got option A, which is retire. If his knees really are degenerative, or however that word goes, and this is just going to be a reoccurring theme. You have retirement. 2 is turn him into a 6th man, reduce his minutes. Hope that even in the games he does play, make him a 6th man. So he's not a 40-minute guy. He's a 25-minute guy, okay? Or, of course, back to rehab and come back and just –
Or try to trade him. I mean, my option 1 is try to move on from him.
Yeah.
And, the reality – and he is –
Not from the team standpoint, if you're Kawhi.
If you're Kawhi.
I'm saying if you're Kawhi. Because like I said, retire – and if you're a part of his team, try to coach the team.
Oh, if you're part of his personal
team.
Yeah.
It's personal.
What
team.
are we gonna do? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's who you are as a person. Like that your decision is who you are as a person. I can't put myself in his shoes.
Yeah.
I would enjoy playing more than any other activity. So it's like my thing would be, let me just try to get as healthy as I can, maybe drop some weight, and just see if I can get through a basketball season.
Yeah.
And play at a good enough level. Retirement's probably a bit of a tough pill to swallow, unless he's just in a mental place where, like, dude, I'm fed up of getting hurt all the time, and I'm fed up of just, basically being this guy that gets, not bullied, but catches hell in the media all the time because of my load management, my injuries, and my unavailability. I mean, to me, I thought like Westbrook spent most of that year being that guy, just like the media target, for negativity. And I just believe, I can't imagine that that's not really super taxing,
right? And
really tough mentally to deal with that, especially if you're genuinely hurt and can't play. What are you supposed to do with that? But, just mentally, I would think, hey, just do what you can to get in shape, do what you can to have an FU vengeance season, and just, put it all down. But
so Chris says, Ballman is the 9th richest person in the world. Just go the luxury tax route. Like I said, that's definitely on the table. But I mean, rich guys are not into.
It's one thing to say like, okay, just go into the luxury tax. But you don't have a championship team.
That's the thing.
That's what I mean, like, again, like the Warriors coming out of the finals and championship last year, like, go in the luxury tax and keep this thing together. It's kind of what the Bulls did for a couple years with Jordan at the end, and it's like, go for it. But you're not a championship level team, and to say we're just going to go into the tax as deep as anyone's ever been, like to run it back with a non-championship team. That's insanity to me.
Yeah.
I think you need to move on from this team and be more about rebuild than you are about, just going into the tax to keep this group together. This group ain't worth keeping together.
No.
It can't stay on the floor together.
Yeah,
and it's just the same thing.
4 years of this. Like, that's enough information.
Plenty sample size. Sample size is big enough, And I mean, in a way, it's kind of what happened in Brooklyn. And they bit the bullet, and they did this, and it wasn't popular. It wasn't fun. But and I'm not saying that they've got a great team, but they're not a bad team.
Right.
They have some pieces that people like.
They can work with it.
They have some pieces they can work with. It's not like a death sentence to move on from that.
No. But the thing is, you have to do it early. The Clippers are already like in the fourth quarter of this, of being able to move these.
No, for sure.
Break things up. Brooklyn, and shout out to them. They did it like really on time. It wasn't late or early. They gave those guys a decent amount of time to try it out. And then when it was time to break it up, they broke it up.
But
and then you get the value. You get your
but
value
the-
back as much as you can.
I agree with you. The similarity of both stories is lack of availability.
Yeah.
And,
For whatever
in
reason.
both
yeah.
situations, neither one of those groups that seemed really good on paper literally played enough games together to figure out what the heck they are.
For sure.
And it's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know. But I think if you're Steve Ballmer, you're looking for ways to get out from under this particular roster and reset your franchise and see what you could do in the future.
Yeah, that's it. And maybe a bad team, a really bad team, take a shot at Kawhi. We're in Orlando, so of course I'm going to bring up the Magic. What do the Magic have to lose?
Yeah, I mean, and
To
they
just-
have a bunch of vague, like semi-intriguing parts, package together some guys, send them out there, and
a lot of those bad teams are under the tax. Do you know, it's another rule, if you're under the tax, you have to either give that money to the league, the
difference that you're
the
below
difference,
the tax.
or pay it to your team. To pay it to the teams that are already on your roster. So that's what
Okay.
most. That's what
Yeah.
most.
I'd be pretty mad if they passed up cutting me an extra check to just give it to the league office. Like, that's not very cool.
And so a lot of these young teams, they're
Be a
under
little,
the tax.
little
of that
frosty the
money back.
next time the owner wants to swing by practice.
Yeah, so it's like, let's take a swing at Kawhi. If it's not, why not? I don't know. And sometimes they do. They take those swings. So we'll see, if they do take that route, if a bad team will go to calling. That's for sure. Once again, you guys are on the Bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. Don't forget, we're on all, and I do mean all podcast streaming platforms, including here on YouTube. Please like.
The other thing was that Colin Cowherd was talking about Kawhi, like not communicating with teammates and the organization itself, and that sounded like it's on brand for him. I could just picture him not necessarily communicating. It's kind of the same move he did with the Spurs back in the day.
Yeah, he's just not he's not a that type of guy. But I don't think that should that's not really a factor. I mean, because if he was healthy, he's the Kawhi everybody's love. He's gonna kill. He's gonna be competitive, and then we don't care about whether he talks or not at all.
Yeah.
So it's not really a factor. But I can believe that. Yes, I can believe that he's
But
not.
I would say this though, an NBA team is a small environment.
Yeah.
And even when a guy's really good, if he's not a connected person, there's a price that comes with that. And when he was with the Spurs, they had other personalities that filled that void.
Shown culture.
Him being like the quiet, aloof guy who just does his job, it kind of worked. The Toronto thing is kind of fluky on so many levels because it was like he goes there, he sat out a significant amount of games in the season. They catch fire in the playoffs and win the thing against a dilapidated Warriors team that just literally fell apart. And I always put an asterisk on that with my Warriors shirt on.
Because there's a
but it was
0%
what it
chance that they win if Durant,
If that roster's
Durant
healthy, yeah.
and Clay.
Yeah.
there's
And
a
you
lot
made a
left.
fair point. The one freaking fluky
The shot
multi-bounce shot against Philadelphia knocks
more
the
than
Sixers
multi.
out. Yeah, it was a lot. Well, multi means a lot.
That thing bounced around more than my ex.
Where was she bouncing? What are we going on there? Care to explain that a bit more?
No. Kawhi, in similar ways to Jimmy, is another weird case for different reasons on how we'll look at him after his career's over, because he has had the
Well, Stephen A.
championship success.
Stephen
Okay.
A. Said he's like the worst superstar, whatever.
Yeah.
He is the most enigmatic because he's a level above Jimmy because he's
Right.
won titles. He's been the best player in a series against other great players, and you can't take that away from him.
No.
But so much of his career has been like not particularly fun or rewarding. The injuries, and even as a good player, the lack of charisma
Yeah.
is you don't get remembered that way.
Right.
Part of that thing, and I saw that Air movie, the Michael Jordan thing. I know Will's probably fired up about it, but hey. But part of it, like there was a scene in the movie, like the Nike people are sitting around and they've got like the NBA draft board out and they're targeted. They have a limited budget. And they're like, they want to target like 2 or 3 guys, and they're going, which guys should we do that? You know? And so one of the guys is like, well, yeah, I like Mel Turpin. And Matt Damon's character, son of a Vaccaro, was like a basketball guy, goes, have you seen Mel Turpin play? Like, have you actually seen him play? Like, what does that make you feel? Like you watch him play? And like Mel Turpin, and yeah, I saw him play. He was a big lumbering center from Kentucky, old school center, big wide body, shoulders, post moves, whatever. You felt nothing watching him play. You know, Jordan was completely, I mean, he was an emotion, not just a player. And like, these guys are that, like, the best of the best are that way.
Yeah.
You know, you feel, you know, LeBron, like you feel Steph in a way. What drew me to Giannis was just, to me, this authentic, honest purity of purpose. Dude comes from Greece. He just wants to be the best basketball player he could be. And he just kept grinding to that. And, like, you fall into that narrative. What is Kawhi's narrative? A weird laugh at a press conference?
When you said the charisma thing, that's pretty much it.
That's what I'm saying.
It's weird laughs.
Like, you literally, those weird laughs, as far as off the court
and they're
moments,
really weird now.
They are extremely weird. They're disturbingly weird. But, like,
weird.
literally, his off-court persona is that.
Yeah.
That's a joke, man.
It is.
He's also, despite his accomplishments, he will be forgotten to history.
You think so?
100%. He'll be this like his name may come up.
I think his name will come up because of
but
LeBron.
People
because
will
of
be
Steph.
like, how did that happen? Like,
yeah.
How did this like boring guy win a title over LeBron?
Because I agree.
He had 4 other Hall of Famers on his team.
Jimmy won't come up.
No.
But I think Kawhi's
Kawhi
name
will come up. But it'll be like people who didn't see it won't get it.
My best Kawhi moment, my favorite Kawhi moment, and I'm kind of a Kawhi guy, but I understand the rest of the stuff you're saying. I agree with you. But my favorite Kawhi moment was when he was with the Spurs in the championship game, and LeBron's on the court.
On the line.
Yeah. And Kawhi's checking in.
Yeah.
And LeBron looks over. It's like, shit.
Yeah.
Because, and you know, I love defense. And at that present time, I mean, I haven't literally seen, I didn't see much of Scottie Pippen, but looking back on film, I do think Scottie is one of the best perimeter defenders to ever play in the NBA. But at that time, Kawhi was just a fucking monster.
Yeah.
On defense.
And it just spoke to that, like, that moment, the series, like you know, it wasn't game 1. Like, I mean, you had LeBron being like, God damn, you know, and that says everything. Like, you know, you don't, like, dudes at that level just don't do that.
Right.
And if you make them do that, that says a ton.
Yeah. That wasn't here goes Patrick Beverly. That wasn't that.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is real pressure coming on the court, man. All right, here. Before we move on here to other things here, I want to give a quick shout out. And where are you, my man? Where are you? Oh, I didn't save you this time. I wanted to go to Royal Brand. I'll find it a little later in the show. I'll tell you what. Instead, let's go to Coach Barotti. We have another a pop-up shop this Sunday, man. I want to take this time. You guys can look at the screen here and look at all of the details and information on it. And I mean, these pop-up shops, we've been doing it for a while now. The Wood Wall Show. I mean, it just has everything you need. It has really good food. It has, you know, vendors that you can buy different things from, whether you're into the accessories or natural soaps.
So this is a pop-up shop of just all sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff. But and
Wait,
again,
is
I
this
can't
in
reiterate the
connection with
food
the
is awesome.
live?
Huh?
Is this in connection with the live?
Yes, it's a separate thing. So the Wood Wall Show is its own entity, right? And this is where you're going to be talking at. And I was going to say, on top of all of that good stuff, it's really great and dope conversations. And Pink is actually going to be a part of this Wood Wall Show.
I'm super excited.
And also at the end, there's always some type of performance. We've had a singer last time, and before that, we had Jason perform. So there's always a performance at the end. But man, I can't stress enough. This is a really dope event here. Has everything you could need to be interested in. Men and women love it. Come out, show some support. Spend a couple dollars, if not anything, for the really great food. I'm telling you, 10,000%.
Best food in town.
One of.
All right.
One of. I don't want to knock. I don't want to knock my salmon. I make a pretty good salmon.
You're personally cooked salmon.
Yeah, my lemon
that
butter
doesn't count.
salmon.
Like, I mean, stuff that you make yourself doesn't count. I mean,
I beg to differ.
well, I mean, it could be your favorite thing. Like I'm saying, like the comparison is other prepared food, in the city, not what you come up with in your kitchen.
No, that's for sure.
That's for not available to the public.
Let's do a couple of I know have one fun thing here, which we can't
Just
actually
one.
saw.
Can't have too much fun.
Can't have too much fun.
Oh,
We
yeah.
actually saw this on social media. Shout out to Big Man who watches the show every week here. He told us we should talk about this. It was interesting. It was funny. So of course, LSU, Angela Reese, and the LSU squad won the
Women's national
Women's
championship
National
for
Championship.
basketball.
LSU. Shout out to those beautiful women, especially this one. All right, and
Is she a beautiful woman though?
yeah. Oh yeah. Reese
I
Reese
looked
is
at her
pretty.
IG. Her body is kind of just flat.
Well, the face. She has a really pretty face. And, I was going to say basketball women, but some of them do have a body.
No,
so.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'm not going to
I was a little disappointed when I pulled up the IG when she
I
first
wasn't,
came to
because
prominence.
you could tell she's a slim woman.
But slim, but you got to have a little curvature, man. You don't want to rail a rail.
Well, a lot of people are thinking Drake and Future do. So they were on a podcast, her and
Good transition.
yeah, I know, right? I'm getting better at this.
You're-
Maybe I've done this before. And they were on a podcast, and she was just talking about, after, what kind of perks and everything that happens after you win a championship, and just talking about celebrities and different people that hit her up, and she's like, "Hey, Drake and Future was in my DM," and things like that, and people took it. I don't know. How did you take it when you saw it?
All right, I'm glad you asked. I took it as like a shitty move on her part to say that, like, to put it out in her podcast. Like, okay, they slid in the DM. Probably thousands of other guys did. You know, like, why are you going to call them out? Like,
Right.
it's clout chasing.
Yeah.
And what did they say? I don't know.
What-
They might, like, and did she elaborate on it? Because I don't know.
A little bit.
Okay.
She was just saying that they reached out to congratulate her, and she kind of, but to your point, she left it open, like kind of like something else could have happened.
Yeah.
But no, they only really
And
reached
that's
out to
when
congratulate.
you let that linger.
Yeah.
But I know those guys would want that to happen.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's just a low-class move to put people out on that. It's like putting somebody on blast or something.
Yeah.
Just keep it low-key. They went with the polite congratulations, but, like, if she fired back with a couple news, it could be game on. Future will take you to some dark places. Knock her up before next preseason.
He definitely would.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Respect these guys. But a moment of all respect. But no, I think that was like a immature. We'll talk about maturity. I thought it was like an immature clout chasing move on her part. As far as that goes.
Here I got Wood again saying Pete the GOAT.
Oh, he's always
Wood
right.
loves Pete, man. But he was talking about on Kawhi. Yeah, he load managed too much. Always heard, and then Chuck comes and said his downfall started with the dirty play from Zaza. That's a great point.
That was
Yeah.
the dirty play. That was a wild. Like, again, that's like a crazy what if, because they were putting it to a great Warriors team.
Yeah.
And it was like game one or whatever, and then that happened. He was out of the series, and whatever. Like, I'll say this though, like, throughout the course of athletics, like, a lot of premier athletes borderline appear to have superhuman healing powers. Kawhi doesn't.
No.
Like,
That's not true, yeah.
he has the healing powers of a 67-year-old guy. He does. Like, but like, I mean, there's always, like, there's guys like that, it's always that, like, hey, he's supposed to be down for 3 weeks and he's back 2 days later and he's gonna give it a go and he plays all right.
And then you have extreme cases where really, like, they may be like Adrian Peterson, like
Yeah,
coming back from a torn ACL in like 3 months. Like that's like that was outrageous.
exactly.
Like I've seen LeBron snap his fucking ankle in his prime and then tape it up and come in the game and score 20
I mean,
points.
I've seen Paul Pierce poop himself in the finals and come back out later and score. Like, what kind of superhero is he?
No, that's for sure, man.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I don't think for her to kind of put it out like there, I thought it was a little bit of a cheesy move.
Angel Reese,
But yeah.
No,
But
for
again,
sure.
if you're her though, and a lot of women would take this opportunity. It's like, yeah, sure, go date Drake a little bit or Future a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe take a season off. Like it's just like, what the hell? It's not a bad move.
No, not at all. All right, let's get to some football. Let's start college and then we'll work our way up to the draft topic that I had here. So I have a video. So Deion Sanders, he was on the Pat McAfee show, and of course,
Today or super recently?
Yes, recently.
Okay.
And so another news has dropped that another 18 players have left and entered the transfer portal from Colorado. All right.
I think there are over 40
So
plus
they are
guys
over total.
out of 85 scholarship guys are in the portal.
Right. So, people are wondering, like, hey, what's going on? And, it's because the 18 that they literally just recently left. So they've been a part of this off-season program, if you will, for a while now, right?
Yeah,
and so they're wondering.
I'm confused by a lot of things going on there.
I have a video, though.
All right,
so let's play the video.
I'll maintain my confusion after.
Yeah. Oh, you will?
Most likely, yeah.
Oh, okay, so let's see what Deion says about it and see if he answers any of your confusion here. 1 second here. Prime. Here we go.
Man, you know what's so funny about this? And I'm trying to choose my words because I'm a head coach and I can't just say what I feel. Usually I do.
Respect.
But people got to be crazy to think this just happens. It don't just happen. You make it happen. You know what you want. I don't pull up through a drive. I can't stand people who pull up through a drive-through and don't know what they want. Before I get there, I know what I want.
Smart.
Right? I'm not just making this stuff up as we go.
How long realistically, now where you're at and what you know now, do you think that whole process takes to change a culture and get your people in there?
We already know what we got coming in. Y'all just don't know what we got.
Okay. Good. I understand.
We already know what we got on the way here, baby. They probably at the airport right now.
Pew, pew.
We already know what we got coming in. They just don't know. It's no way that I could put new furniture in this beautiful home if we don't clean out the old furniture. And that's not a shot.
I did not expect that. Hey, it's good fun.
But the thing about it, I don't want people to think it's just the product on the field. And kids got to realize that we told them we told them often as possible. When a whole coaching staff gets terminated, who do you think is next?
Yeah, that's real life.
All right. That you still maintain your confusion?
Well, yeah, on a couple fronts. He showed up in Colorado, told people getting the transfer portal, he's got, a whole new team coming or whatever. And there were some attrition initially, and there were some transfers that came in, and his son and Travis Hunter included. What I'm a little baffled by is why did so many of these kids go through the spring and then decide to transfer? Like, and a lot of them are saying, like, Deion really didn't talk to us. Like, I had a meeting with him after the spring where he told me we're going in a different direction, and now I'm in the portal. But it sounded like the culture Deion had was the guys that he brought with him, like, were the guys, and he kind of literally treated the existing players like, you're not the guys. And why are you staying a whole semester if it's kind of that clear that you're not part of this guy's plan? That I don't get.
Oh, so on the kids front,
On the kids front, I get that.
So this
now, what I'll also say though is like part of Deion's little brand here is to be a little bit of a mentor to men, and if he treated the guys the way that they're
Yeah,
saying,
we reported, yeah.
that's falling short of that standard, to be candid.
Yeah.
You're not. You're treating guys like shit. Like, you're basically pushing them kind of to get the hell out of here. And I get that happens, and if that's who you are, that's fine. But don't tell me you're tough and be a pussy. Don't tell me you're honest and lie. And don't tell me you go to church and do anything stupid. But like, it's just it is what it is there. Like, you came out and said, hey, we're telling guys to get in the portal. Like, so how was it that you had 30 plus guys go through spring ball and then realize, hey, I need to get out of here?
Right.
I would imagine there's some guys that have some talent and thought like, hey, I'll work my ass off. I'll show Coach Prime that whatever. But the numbers are a little staggering, And then here's the other thing. From a team standpoint, when you have that many dead bodies on your roster through the spring, you damn near wasted a spring.
Yeah.
All those reps that those kids took and snaps and everything else, and now they're leaving, and now you're going to, get these other guys. It just doesn't seem as smooth as he's making it. And I think that there's some guys that they wish they could have maybe got rid of earlier. There's probably some guys that maybe they could have done a better job of either holding on to or developing with his staff. And I think you really kind of threw away most of the spring by having all this dead weight on your roster.
My biggest confusion, and I'm not sure, maybe can in college can coaches can they cut scholarship players?
Scholarships are 1 year, and so like they're you don't get a 4-year scholarship. They're renewable every year, so they can get to the end of the year and tell you, we don't have a scholarship for you. We're not going to continue your scholarship.
Okay, so there is a gamble if all of them said, you know what, screw Dion, we're all going to stay. And like, you don't think that's...
he could maybe that's what he told some of these guys after the spring. He said, hey, thanks for trying, but we're not going to renew your scholarship at the start of the year. You really need to get in the portal.
Yeah.
Now there's another logic and what you've seen is, so in the holiday time at the end of the regular football season, the portal opened and guys were hitting the portal all in a big wave of movement. Now there is this secondary wave after spring ball. It's just not on the level that we're seeing at Colorado, and so like FSU's, I think about 5-6 guys have gone in the portal since the end of spring, and just reading the obvious, it's like those are guys that went through the spring, didn't, saw their role getting diminished for the most part, and felt like, hey, I better move on and find something else for myself. We actually lost a guy, Joshua Farmer, though, that really seemed to be a younger developing player. I'm not sure why he's leaving, but, he seemed to be a guy that was evolving, and he hit the portal. I think that was a little bit of a surprise
But that's
program.
a modest number, 5 to 6.
But I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Like, again, you look at it, December happened. We had a handful of guys go in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those guys went down. Like, they went lower than FSU. And we brought in I think 10 guys, that were, coming from, that were believed to be better.
Yeah.
And now you have the secondary portal market.
Because it sounds
now,
like it's about
ironically,
15, 16 total. Yeah.
2 of the FSU portal guys have committed to Dion.
Yeah, I saw one.
Yeah,
at least.
one defensive end. But the defensive end, again, Derek McClendon, he started last year as a starter, was outperformed by a younger player as the season went along, and then we brought in another transfer defensive end, and Jared Verse, who's regarded as possible first-round pick material at defensive end, stayed. And so, I really think he got to the end of the year. He went into last season as the starting defensive end and went in and finished this spring probably being the 4th defensive end on the roster.
Yeah.
At best. So he left. The other player is Brendan Gant, who he's a guy that he's like a safety / undersized linebacker, known as like a big hitter and special teams guy, but he struggles in coverage and stuff like that. So he can never carve out like a consistent role on the defense and was more of a spot player. And so again, it makes sense for a player like that to transfer and feel, hey, maybe I'm going to get out to Colorado and have a better opportunity.
No, for sure. And my whole thing is, because the players are leaving. I completely agree with you on the point of Dion not staying true to his brand, because these guys are being pushed out and they are being treated lesser than the guys he brought in. But at the same time, I another piece to that clip there is he was saying those guys weren't competing with the Travises and the guys like not that they were being outperformed, but he said he didn't see the heart from them.
Which again, that's not surprising when you're a 1-11 team.
Yeah,
your guys get beat up psychologically with losing.
Yeah,
And I in a broad stroke, I agree with what Dion's doing.
Yeah,
you come in and you have a team that got beat 11 times out of 12.
That's a lot in the
season. There's
yeah.
not a lot of self-confidence in the group. There's not a lot of swagger. And, it's tough to transform that to something winning quickly.
With the same team,
yeah.
Yeah.
But when you break the roster down and so forth, you would figure just on numbers-wise, there's a couple guys that are going to be fits going forward, and there probably are. But, it's okay. You're going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
My big issue is just like, why did it take through the spring to get rid of so much of the dead wood at that point? And and again, did you treat guys fairly to a degree? Within
just
that,
rip it off at a Band-Aid all at one time in the very beginning. And
my thing is that if you're literally purged half the spring roster, so it's like those are all valuable reps. Now you're going to have guys coming in the summer, and you're kind of playing catch up,
learning the system,
which raises the other question for me. With the Travis Hunter situation, this is the top player in the country coming out of high school at two positions. And he played two positions last year. He had an injury-marred campaign, showed flashes down the stretch. Now he's, leaves JSU, goes to what appears to be a rebuild. 3 years on a college campus, what's going to happen? Is this really been good for him? At the end of the day. And if the Colorado rebuild's a little bit more complicated than Dion wants us to believe, I don't know what internally, is he looking at 6 or 7 wins this year, and then we get up to 10 or whatever next? If that's the trajectory, that probably works out for Travis. But if it turns out to be 4 or 5 wins and 7 or 8 wins, was it worth following Dion around? Could he have gone to FSU and be on a 10-win team last year at the high level, and maybe more this year? What's what with that? I do think that it's if the rebuild's slower than anticipated, Hunter's got to look at it and be a little bit, did I really make the right decision? Hitching myself to this guy.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. Once again, you guys are on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. We do have a little bit more football, especially NFL draft, but we do have an breaking news update here. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been eliminated from the postseason after losing to the Knicks tonight. They lost by what's this 11, 106-95. Pretty much an even game from the Knicks. Brunson had 23 and 4. Barrett went for 21. Mitchell Robinson had 13 and 18. Big game from him. Quickly had 19. And Cleveland goes out 4-1. They were favored in this series. They only won one game. Didn't have any major injuries. Definitely a letdown. And I point to none other than the two bigs I've been down on all season. I don't know why or how they have the status that they have. It never made sense. And I go back to maybe at the time it was you can't do that comparison. But every time Embiid plays these guys, he destroys them. And I always say, if defense is your thing, I don't care who it is. If defense is your only thing, you can't get destroyed every time you go up against someone. And you're not an offensive player, so you're not putting up a fight on the other end. So tonight, Mobley goes for 6 points and 9 rebounds. And Allen goes for 4 points and 4 rebounds.
Jesus Christ!
It just can't happen in a closeout game.
No, this is a huge failure for Cleveland.
Huge failure.
They made the big Donovan Mitchell move. They started the season, again, they hadn't accomplished much before, but they came in with a pretty strong feeling that this is a team on the rise. And nobody believes this is a great Knicks team. And you go out 4-1 as the favorite in the series with exactly what you said, the donut in the middle. Those guys not playing well. Mobley, you took, fourth in the draft or third?
Yeah.
I mean, you're expecting much more from
And
that
he
that
hasn't.
player.
He really hasn't progressed, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. And another thing is they have an old school, really old school vibe to this team, and to Mitchell's and Garland's greatness. They marred together a good regular season, but Mobley and Allen, neither one of them shoots the three ball, and then you whatever third man, the small forward you ever throw out there. LeVert played on the bench for most of the season, and then in the postseason, they had to push him to the starting role just because they needed some shooting, because Lord knows they wouldn't get it from anyone else. And but LeVert is really better suited as the sixth man coming out, getting some buckets.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to find a forward who get a 3-and-D man. They need to find that's their number one priority. And then if it was up to me, I make a decision on Mobley or Allen.
Yeah.
And I trade one of them for assets, and build my team and maybe get a
Mobley.
really good 3-and-D
Mobley's
guy.
probably the higher value,
Yes,
being a
for sure.
younger guy and maybe more upside to him. But yeah, he's been at the end of the day very disappointing for the pick he was taken at, and I mean I hate to say it because a lot of West Coast dudes, it's like they're kind of soft.
Yeah.
And he was a skilled big guy for the modern game out of the West Coast. That's kind of like recipe for shave my vagina. That's what that's about.
And that's what it's been. That's
Yeah.
what it's been. And so they got to figure that out, man. Like I know they won't do it because teams just don't have the nuts like that, and then they're going to wait until 2 to 3 years, and his value is going to be vastly diminished by then.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're
but,
Cleveland like that is just a gut punch way to go out.
It is, man.
Yeah.
It
But
is.
the Knicks, I mean, the Knick euphoria, man. Like that.
Shout out to the Knicks for getting it done. They'll play the winner out of the Heat and Bucks, and they have to be rooting for the Heat. They played the Heat well all season. I'm pretty sure they didn't beat the Bucks this year. I have to look at that, but I think I read that earlier. But the Heat, they've been right there with them all season. I know they're rooting for them.
For sure.
Because that's a team they can beat. I mean, that's
I mean, they have to go in. They're a higher seed.
Yeah.
Going into this process, they've got to feel good about their chances, and obviously they're coming off playing well, 4-1 series victory.
Eastern Conference championship year for the Knicks is a huge
Amazing
win.
And just not anything I foresaw.
No.
I was critical of the move for Brunson, and it couldn't have worked out better so far.
Even the first round win is that's a good season. Like
absolutely.
If they go out and lose second round, they had a good season.
Well, I think we
but now
think
the
we
moment
said
is here, like
a
the
week or two
opportunity is here.
ago, like for that series, I wasn't particularly captivated by it because I felt like losing that series is disappointing, but like winning that series is about all you could expect.
Yeah,
because we thought they'd be stepping in against a top-seeded Bucks team who dispatched the Heat, and really not much expectation of going further. Obviously, with that way that series has unfolded, all bets are off. But yeah, I mean, hands down, this is a successful season for the Knicks, but a gut punch for the Cavs, and mostly again because the projection wasn't necessarily to go any further rounds, but to go out 4-1, that's going out meekly. If these two teams had butted heads for seven games and somebody hits a shot at the end and fuck, we lost, like you just feel better.
Yeah,
you were manhandled and cuffed around by essentially a mediocre Knicks team.
no, for sure. All right,
we also could be watching. I was talking about this earlier. This could be the death of the Grizzlies.
it could be. They're up right now, 13 with 4 minutes to go on the Lakers.
Oh wow!
So it looks like they're going to get this thing to 3-2.
Yeah.
I definitely was for us. I was hoping that it'll be the reverse, so we could go in on Memphis.
Yeah.
But
We still might be able to.
Desmond Bane is having a hell of a game. He has 33, 9 and 5.
Wow.
He's shooting lights out, And Morant, not nothing to sneeze at, 29 and 9. All right.
What about Brooks?
Another awful game. He's shooting 3 for 15 right now.
Wow.
8 points, 3 for 15.
Yeah,
2 for 10 from 3.
I'll still double down and say if they lose this series, I think the Grizzlies are over as any sort of notion of a contending team. They'll probably be what they'll be is a mid-tier playoff team that nobody's worried about.
Yeah.
If they lose this series, because there's already some things in the wind that they'll kind of move on from Brooks. He's been a disaster the way he's performed. Ja's played well in the games he's played. But, again, this is Memphis. They've never been able to attract free agents to begin with. And I do think that the relative immaturity of Ja does not make him a guy that people want to play with, or that they're going to, kind of essentially in some ways risk a chunk of your career to play with.
Yeah. Force their ways to Memphis. I don't see that happening.
And if they can't get over the top, go out, in first round to the Lakers – coming in as a 2 seed, I just think they're going to just take a step back, and they'll just be one of those teams. They'll be in the playoffs, but they'll lose every year, first or second round.
My problem with Memphis, and I can usually do this with every team, I don't see I don't see real ways to improve, not financially or whatever. I don't know what they need. I can't look at that team and say, oh, they need this type of player or that.
Well, they'll bemoan the fact that they didn't have Steven Adams and they didn't have Clark in the series. Yeah, and that's fair. They're two of their bigger bodies. They're good. Obviously, you probably like, Steven
Lakers
Adams.
Not a huge team.
Yeah, but you probably would have liked, like the chances of Steven Adams injuring Anthony Davis are probably quite high. just even by incidental
Big
contact.
body.
Oh God,
he's
yeah.
gonna bump him. Every
Yeah,
time.
just like actually, the more I think about it, like that's a must.
Yeah, because Jackson. One thing about Jackson, he loves to block. So he so the best way to block a shot is to give somebody room and go over the top. So he's not bumping a lot. He's kind of a roamer. He's roaming a lot, and he's really So I guess. I mean, from an injury aspect
and depth as well. And Clark's a very active, good
active.
body. Like moves around. Now they have gotten a pretty decent series out of that other other unproven guy. He's played very well.
He's a bigger body.
Yeah, but
so you think Clark is like a better version of him? Probably can't score on the level this guy.
Yeah,
has been able to, but
But it's depth, it's options, it's different things to throw at people.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, but I also think like the thing like that the Grizzlies they've always been like this like chirpy bunch of dudes, who kind of have a swagger to themselves. But like, really from the Brooks like poking the bear thing and then performing like a turd, like to me they lose that identity and that swagger if they go out in the first round. And they're not getting that back. Like it's just not happening.
No.
You got one chance to do this. Like when Mike Tyson got beat, he was never the same again.
Never.
Because they, like so much of what he was the notion that he's indestructible.
Yeah.
Once he's beaten, we're over the hump. And it's like the Grizzlies were intriguing because they kind of talked the talk and walked the walk a little bit. But this whole series where you start talking, if it doesn't come through for you, you lose the aura of that.
You do. No, that's for sure. Let's go. Let's stay basketball and go to this Suns Nuggets matchup. So of course we know that the
I always feel like the Nuggets just need to be referred to as the butt Nuggets.
the butt nuggets.
Yeah, I just always, man.
Not the chicken nuggets.
Going back, I'm talking butt Nuggets, man. Going back to the days of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. For real.
Yeah, man. Carver's appreciate that name. Now here goes the thing. I wasn't really impressed with either one of these teams in the first round.
Yeah.
If you ever looked at the games with Denver and Minnesota, I mean Minnesota stole a game and they were pretty much in a lot of those games. And when I just don't think they should have been. Minnesota's really played not a good game, either one of those games. And Phoenix, I mean, they let a team stick around and pretty much they were up 20 or almost 30 points in this closeout game. And then Westbrook has a chance to tie with a layup with like a minute left or 2 minutes left.
It felt like every game was closer than it needed to be.
Every game was closer than it needed to be.
Yeah.
And so neither team impressed me. I have no idea what's going to happen. if I had to put money, which of course I won't, I would probably say Denver in 7.
See, I'd probably say the Suns in 7.
Yeah.
I just at the end of the day, I
I'm not
believe
particularly
more in their shot making than I do Denver's, and and it's KD, it's Booker, it's whatever. But I do think and Jokic is the better player, but I do think that Ayton gives a decent matchup there.
Well, for me, it's not Jokic. Jamal Murray has been the best player for Denver Nuggets in this first round, which oddly enough, he was the best player their most successful season in the bubble.
Right.
And that's so for me, that's the thing, and I don't think the Suns guards will be able to do anything with him.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, with the exception of the Ayton matchup, the Suns defensively are pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Paul can't really stay in front of anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Booker's marginal defender. KD's not much of a defender. And so they don't really have a defensive identity. And so that is going to be problematic. But I still kind of trust their shot making and whatever a little bit more than Denver.
And that's fair.
But like, we're kind of saying this. We're both predicting a long series.
Yeah.
And no clear advantage either way.
I don't think it's any clear advantage. But again, I don't think either one of these teams have any excuses. I mean, both of these teams are supposed to win the series, oddly enough, right? For various different reasons. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be tuned in every game. I mean, there's something for me to watch here. But I think Denver has good shot making though. Porter is a knockdown shooter. Michael Porter Jr. And he's been staying, oddly enough, relatively healthy.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon is going to be probably going to be on KD most of the series. They don't have much for Book, but they'll have Caldwell Pope. I mean, he's a solid guy. I don't foresee Book going for these high 45 and 50-point games.
Well, I think the series could be very much a shootout. We could see games like 125, 122, those sort of games. I don't think there's going to be many tractor pulls in this series. Yeah. And so individually, anybody, any of the prime scores in this series could drop some some gaudy numbers,
and that could swing a series
for sure
if they get hot for a game or two.
For sure.
No, I agree with that.
But does the West not feel super open? I mean, this is the one matchup that we know of, and we feel it's going to be 7. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
This is the most open I've ever seen in the NBA in a long time.
Yeah.
But both conferences for different reasons. In the West, is really mostly just because of the teams themselves. Nobody has escaped the pack, if you will. There's not a dominant team. That's what makes the West feel open. In the East, it's injuries. And just funky things. It's different. Yeah. If Giannis was completely healthy, we look at Milwaukee a different way. Boston has been up and down all season, really. I know they had the second best record in the East, but that's a team who lost to the Magic 4 times. Who lost to a lot of these bad teams. They have stretches where they don't play good basketball.
I mean, going into I kind of felt internally that they're probably the favorite. Just the combination.
Boston?
Yeah, but
they have a higher
ceiling.
But
again, they got out of the gate great, and then they've kind of made a mess the last couple games,
which has
consistent
been
with what they
season.
did. Yeah.
They have the highest ceiling, I think, but the lowest floor.
Yeah,
could be. It's weird.
I mean, Philadelphia, to their credit, took care of business, but Boston's always been a super challenging matchup for them. Yeah. So even if Boston struggles through, you still
I would feel a lot different if we were on the other side of this bracket. I mean, if we're the ones going up against Miami or Milwaukee next, you're talking to a different Bubba today.
Yeah, exactly. No, and again, it's and you got the Knicks here in this thing. I don't believe in the Knicks. Even if the Heat get through, I don't believe in the Heat in a big way. Yeah. So it's really kind of comes down to the winner of that Boston Phillies series.
And back to the West. I know we bounced East West, but that just shows how open we think both conferences are. But for the Lakers, I mean, the Lakers. Shout out to the general managers that at the trade deadline they really improved their team. They are a much better team. But I can't fully believe in them either. They're a flawed team, And not just this year. I mean, it's been about a good 2-3 year stretch. LeBron really looks different. Yeah, he'll have a game where he has big numbers, but he looks 37, 38 when you watch him play. He's just smart enough to be able to produce at a high level.
He literally does not have the energy to control games like he has in the past or dominate games, and so he's very much in a situation where he's picking his spots to be decisive on the game, and sometimes he'll miss the spots.
And that's it's so weird when you think of it from a physical human nature, because we know LeBron James is super in shape. How much money he spends on his body every summer, what he does need, et cetera, et cetera. He's a freak of nature. He's gassed in all of these games and during the regular season, not just the playoffs. You get to the fourth quarter and he's fucking gassed. This is the Iron Man.
But it is just different.
When you get older.
When you're playing and you're getting older. Yeah. You don't like. For me, the best way to describe it, and I've gone through this, and like the worst thing for me is when I play my son in basketball. It's like I'm good enough, smart enough to get him in bad positions, but what you lose is he has 2, 3, 4 efforts in a play. I have one. I have to be perfect. I don't have that ability to just get the second jump or get beat here but hustle back and cut him off or swat the shot from behind. I don't have that. Defensively, I've got one chance. I got to size up and read where a guy's going and be right and stop that. If I'm not right, there's no resistance. I don't have. The older you get, you have less of that. I almost call it elasticity to your athleticism, where you can just recoil, change directions multiple times in the context of a play. That's gone, and it's gone for LeBron.
Yeah.
And that it makes you just become more flat-footed. You're trying to find these moments to be decisive. He's still great mentally and can read plays, sniff things out. But if you get him wrong on a guess, he's done. Where with the Heat, you could probably beat LeBron a bunch with different things, but he recovered and still got a block or still slapped the ball away.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. That's gone. That's gone with age.
Yeah.
He's if he gets a slap, it's because he read everything right perfectly. He had one chance to do it and he did it.
Yeah.
But when you peak LeBron, I might have 3 or 4 chances in the same freaking play.
Yeah.
Just because you're that.
What's funny about the Iguodala block in the finals, he went up on the wrong side. And then he ended up it was an odd jump and he ended up getting with the offhand. That's not happening now. Any chase down now, I mean, it's just perfect, the perfect jump or whatnot. Yeah, I completely agree with all that.
You kind of the thing, when your natural elastic athleticism begins to wane, you become a technical perfectionist.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to function and play. And whether it's your shooting, whether it's your defensive stance or movements, it's all pristine and clean because you have to conserve energy and you can't recover. So you got to get it right the first time.
Exactly. All righty here. Let's go to let me see what I had here. Once again, you guys are on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. Let's go to this NFL draft thing. NFL draft. We're recording this live on Wednesday night here, and so the NFL draft is Thursday. All right, tomorrow night, and it's going to be hosted in Kansas City. Shout out to my Chiefs. All right, we got a first-round pick. Be interested to see how that goes. But anyhow, of course, and every year the talk of the town is the quarterbacks. There's a lot of bad teams needing a quarterback, and so every year you'll catch. Usually it's early in the process, but the quarterback Wonderlic or the IQ test thing.
They have something else now. They rechanged it.
They changed it. It's called S2 Cognition. It's pretty much the same test. They just took out a lot of funky questions that people were complaining about. And so, as you can see, Bryce Young scored the highest out of all the quarterbacks. And C.J. Stroud scored the lowest, 18%, but he was well below the second guy, Hendon, which was at 46%. Surprisingly, Anthony is at 79.
Why do you say surprisingly?
No, that's it. I like Anthony. I'm an Anthony Richardson guy.
I've actually become more a fan of his, since he's not on the Gators.
Yeah.
And I'm like rooting for the guy.
I'm rooting for him.
I have not liked C.J. Stroud ever. I don't like Ohio State players in general, but I remember seeing him on like some sort of a podcast during the season, and like I did not think that it was him because he seems so fucking stupid.
Oh wow.
He talks kind of like slow and dumb, and it was like.
So this doesn't surprise you?
Doesn't surprise me. And it's funny because it's like it's really rewarding to like kind of nail those things in a way where you see like a little data point and you make an extrapolation off of that and it's correct. But yeah, just a simple podcast. Like he did not carry himself like just talking and mannerisms like a quarterback, like QB1 at all. And so it is going to be interesting to see how that plays. But yeah, I mean, again, in like the throwing workouts and stuff like that, my understanding is he's performed exceptionally well. I mean, one of his throwing workouts, one of these draft guys was like, man, that's one of the best throwing workouts I've ever seen, as far as just rhythm and making the throws and being accurate and all that stuff. But that mental stuff is big. Yeah. I mean, and the NFL, I mean, is really like a big mental game. And I think you're going to struggle if you don't have the mental capacity to function that way.
Yes, you are. I had a list of guys that are in the league now. Okay.
Who had shitty scores?
I have all of their scores. Just anyway. Okay, so. Let's see here. I'm trying to get the okay, I have it now. I have it. Going down to quarterbacks. They have all the positions here. And I was trying to make sure. So for quarterback position here, just to give you an example here. Where are some of the good guys? We don't care about Eli Manning's and stuff. But Eli Manning had a 39.
It's out of 50, so that was a pretty good score.
Yeah. Josh Allen had a 37. Okay. Now some of the lower scores, just to give you a really good example. Let's see. The lowest score ever out of this was we don't know this Oscar guy, but Terrell Pryor had a 7.
And he ended up having to change his position.
Chris Leak had an 8.
Chris Leak?
Yeah.
And he made no impression in the league at all.
No. Jeff George had a 10.
He was good, but not great. He had crazy physical tools.
Right.
But never played up to that.
Lamar Jackson, 13.
Crazy physical tools. And here's what you got. Like, C.J. Stroud does not have great physical tools.
Yeah.
He had a good arm, but not like an arm that nobody, like Josh Allen or one of these other guys. And he's not like a runner, scrambler guy or any sort of exceptional athlete.
He's not. You remember the last time I really heard a big stink about this, and I know it's a long time ago. I see his name here. Was Vince Young? His Wonderlic like that caused like a big thing because it was leaked. His is 15. Oh, yeah, I remember that being a low score. They were saying, and 15 out of 50. I remember that. It made a big.
But
deal
again,
about
another
that.
sort of exceptional athlete.
Yeah.
But he had like he fell off a cliff in his career.
Right.
Like he had some good years. Went to the Super Bowl at one time. Wait, no, not the Super Bowl. He was in the playoffs a few times.
Right.
McNair was the quarterback in the Super Bowl.
But the top of the list isn't better. It seems like you want to be in the middle because you got at the top you got Fitzpatrick.
He went to Harvard.
So that doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean like he went to Harvard. Like, it shouldn't be surprising that he's in the top, of guys.
That would be interesting to see where all these guys went to
school.
But
if you look at Fitzmagic a different way, again, he went to Harvard. Like that's not a football powerhouse.
Okay.
He gets into the NFL and he has stayed in the league for
years.
12, 13, 14 years. Yeah. And he's one of those weird guys. Like if you just pull up like all-time NFL passing yards and touchdowns, he's actually like up there, like
Yeah.
not top 10 or 15,
Right.
but for like what you would think his career was, it'll shock you how high he is on some of those, all-time passing yards and completions and touchdown passes.
It's interesting to watch, and I wonder, and I think most of these teams really go off of tape and your individual interviews and workouts, and really they're kind of closing their eyes and picking a name. I mean, out of the guys they have in the hat. I mean, because a lot of these things are really hard. It's really hard to pick the right quarterback. It's not easy. I think basketball is much easier. Because that's why you have so many different, because there's so many different variables with quarterbacks, man.
I think the variables are big. I think who your coach is
matters.
Yeah,
in the NFL. Or
in the NFL.
college? Okay.
Because certain guys they craft really good offenses. They have a good feel for play calling and scheme design and stuff like that, and they kind of play to the strengths of the player. And other guys don't, and you just kind of get in there and grind away, and you're in a bad scheme with bad talent around you, and you get the snot beat out of you. And I think it happens to a lot of guys.
I think so.
I mean, I think Jameis's time was disastrous, with the Bucs. You had Dirk Cutter and Lovie Smith. Like, those guys are imbeciles.
Yeah.
And he didn't grow. I think Jared Goff is almost the poster boy for it. He had old school Jeff Fisher as a rookie, and he looked like
he was awful,
a historic bust.
Yeah.
He gets Sean McVay. He plays in the Super Bowl, and now. And I'm not a huge Dan Campbell guy. I know he's like a big cult of personality guy or whatever. But again, he got into a positive environment and a team that's kind of playing with some sort of attitude, and he was pretty good again. Yeah. I at the end of the day, I don't think Jared Goff. I think that's why he's a great example for this. I don't think he's an unbelievable quarterback, but I think he puts him right in that thing where he's really controlled by his environment.
Yeah.
When he's in a good environment, he plays at close to all-pro level, but when he's not in that, the play drops off significantly.
No, that's for sure. And then, of course, we have Aaron Rodgers. Finally, the trade happened with the Jets.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you have people wondering, because the Jets was a solid team. It would seem like all they were missing was a quarterback, right? They had a top 3 defense. I think they were number 2 or 3 defense last year. You have weapons. You have a running back. A good line. So, why shouldn't the Jets be, in the Super Bowl? And, or at least a contender, not in the Super Bowl.
Ironically, I think it's Aaron Rodgers and his kind of erratic play down the stretch. This is a good move for the Jets in the sense that, of the available quarterbacks, you probably couldn't get a better one in a vacuum. And certainly by getting Aaron Rodgers, you're going to be like a focal point of league conversation going into next year, and every week it's going to be a topic of conversation. I'm just not sure he's the guy that's going to win like that.
Yeah,
because he's really struggled in the playoffs, and he'll be all the little stuff, new system, new this, new that. I mean, I'm not sold that you just got the best, a total winner in this thing.
Me either.
Yeah.
So, out of the available quarterbacks, which was off the top of my head, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson.
But Lamar wasn't really available. Like they've been dicking him around. They put the tag on him, whatever. It wasn't like
well, you would have had to offer
Rodgers.
him the full.
He had burned so many bridges in Green Bay. Like, we went into this season knowing that he's going to play somewhere else.
We just didn't know
and
exactly
so he was
where.
truly available. Lamar, it's still this weird.
Yeah.
It's taking on a life of its own.
What's funny about the Lamar thing is still unsettled, but he's like inching towards like being okay with coming back with Baltimore.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Odell there. He just Lamar Jackson put out a tweet today about kind of hitting towards Hopkins coming over there from Arizona, the Arizona receiver. He hinted towards that, with Odell.
But the reality, we kind of said like this was like a slow burn situation. Like when he went out in the market and there wasn't like an immediate interest, like again, the options are like, what are they? What are we doing?
And this is one of those things where I say, this Bubba is just right. A lot of times we had a few guys on the show that really took, like, not necessarily taking Lamar's side. It is essentially, but just saying, like, hey, what are the Ravens doing? Need to pay him, just Black Marquise. Like, what are the Ravens doing? They might lose him, or you're making them mad, or whatever. And I'm like, listen, man, I think the Ravens are doing exactly what they should be doing. They have a number in mind that they think Lamar is good for, and if he goes over that number, hey, see who else can give it to you.
And here's the other thing that came into play: the Jalen Hurts deal. He took less guaranteed money than Deshaun, which was kind of the gold standard. Mm-hmm. He couldn't be coming off of a better situation.
No, not at all.
Leads a strong Eagles team to the Super Bowl, plays valiantly in defeat.
Yes.
Like, everything's there. Like, I mean, right now, the second that deal was signed, to me, the Ravens are like, well, you're below that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tell me you're above that.
No.
We haven't seen the Super Bowl with you at center.
Not at all.
Or at you behind center.
And worst case scenario is if Joe Burrow comes in at or a little below that, then they're damn sure like,
yeah.
You can lose our number if you like. Well, this is it. You sign it or do what you want to do.
Yeah, but I did,
because Joe is up next.
And Jalen, like, he's just. I have tremendous amount of respect for him.
No.
Because, again, he's one of those guys. When he was at Alabama, I was convinced he couldn't pass.
Yeah.
I just thought he was terrible,
yeah.
as a passer. And he's grown and developed so much. And now, again, like, doing everything right. Like, playing his ass off. Then taking the deal and doing it, like, and kind of the positioning is, hey, I did this quickly. I did it efficiently. I left money on the table for our team. About winning. Like, he's hitting everything like that you could ask a person to do.
He definitely did a Mahomes thing there.
Yeah,
and not a lot of quarterbacks are going to do that. But I was just saying, to your point, also he's in an interesting offensive system. Like, they're playing to his strengths.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's another good thing about that situation. And we'll see where that goes. Aaron Rodgers, like I said, we've seen him underperform a lot. I have to see it to believe it. The AFC is strong. AFC East not so strong. So he is in a bad division, if you will. What's that? We have the Jets. You got the Bills. I mean, you have to battle.
I don't
Bills.
think it's very. I don't find it pretty weak because you also
Patriots are a bad team.
You have the Dolphins
and
are pretty good.
And
the Bills are good.
Huh?
The Bills are good.
Bills are good.
And I think the Dolphins are good. It's not an easy division. And again,
Aaron makes the Jets really competitive.
Better.
Yeah.
But and again, even with the Patriots, like,
you don't
terrible.
feel comfortable counting
They're
them all
not
the way
terrible.
out.
It's the wins,
no, that's a solid division.
Wins are going to be hard to come by divisionally.
That is a really solid division. No, that's for sure. All right. Once again, you guys on the Bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. I found Royal. I want to give a shout out to Royal13thebrand.com.
That's a spectacular color on that shirt.
Yeah, man.
And like hot pink.
Yeah, almost
fuchsia.
Red. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can get that shirt at Royal13thebrand.com if you use promo code BubbaPink, and you don't have to pay full price for it. All right. What an awesome deal there.
There is fantastic.
There you go. All right. What I wanted to talk about next. Next, I wanted to get to a really quick note here. A shout out to Charles Barkley. He donated $1 million or a little over $1 million to Bethune-Cookman Athletics, and of course, let me finish on Charles. He's a guy that's, being about it, not just talking about it. He's being about it, and he donated that to Bethune-Cookman and Jackson State. Okay, but one thing about it is, and this is some of what I was talking about when all of that hoopla was happening with Ed Reed, was I understand that it's going to take people like Charles, without that, then yes, of course, resources and as far as attention and donations and things like that would be lacking. But all it takes are people like Charles. I guess that was my point the entire time. Like, I just wanted people from the wealthy people from the black community who talk about it, because these guys do talk about it, about positive HBCUs in a positive light. They just weren't spending the checks that others do on, like, for example, Magic Johnson sent like $10 million to UCLA. And I know that's he's a Michigan State guy. Somebody.
why did he send
It
money
wasn't.
to
It wasn't.
UCLA?
It might have wasn't Magic then.
Okay.
It was somebody else that gave $10 million
Okay.
to USC, not to UCLA, to USC. All
Will
right?
Ferrell?
No, and
Snoop Dogg?
it still might have been Magic, even though he didn't go to school there. I'm pretty sure it's Magic. I have to double check that. I wish we had a facts guy in the back. But anyway, and that's a lot of money to give to a USC who already has a ton of money. Right. You know what I mean? And that was my only point. And Reggie Theus, who is of course Bethune-Cookman's help me out AD.
AD, yeah.
And he took a lot of heat, for the Ed Reed situation, and probably some of it rightly so, because the way he came off in the way he was talking is with a lot of bravado. I could tell he just dislikes Ed, but in that it came off as like a lot of his comments were dishonest or misleading, right? And
him and the university president.
And the president.
He was despicable.
And but Reggie was a little more like screw Ed Reed, but
personal
not so
animus.
So. And but he
also
has
known as screw Ed Reed.
I know, right? But he has a relationship with Charles Barkley, and that came into.
That's what I was going to ask. What is the relationship between Charles and Bethune specifically?
It's with Reggie Theus.
Okay, did they play together at one point or no?
It's I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Yeah, because I mean, again, like Charles is from Alabama. There are HBCUs in Alabama.
Yeah, which no, okay. Jackson State, of course, is in Mississippi.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's my NBA brother, says Reggie Theus. It's a small fraternity, so I think he would have said, it's my former teammate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Charles just signed a 10-year contract worth $100 million, and if he stays a few years, even past that, it can go up to $200 million from TNT.
Well, damn,
that's crazy money.
That is crazy.
And if they're giving that money out on TV, who else to give it to aside from Charles Barkley?
Yeah, what's $1 million little tax write-off?
Now, since 2016, just to finish on Charles Barkley here, he has given $1 million to 6 other HBCUs and other times. So
maybe he's just making the rounds.
He has given to Alabama A&M.
Okay.
In years past, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Miles, Tuskegee, and Spelman.
All right.
Shout out to Charles, and hopefully, it's been since he's been doing that since 2016-17. But hopefully, it does spark more wealthy, influential people, to donate and give money to HBCUs as they do need it. All right, just wanted to give that point out there. All right, let's see here. What did I have next here? I know we're coming to a close here. I wanted to talk briefly about the Warriors Kings. Okay, do they play tonight?
Tonight at 10.
Yeah, that's the last game tonight. So their game, what was that? I think that was game 4 as well.
Game 4 was they missed the Harrison Barnes missed the shot. Warriors held on.
So that had 10.4 million viewers, which is the most in a long time.
I think they fired that up at like 3:30 on a weekend afternoon too.
So you think the
probably helped.
Yeah, probably
like
helped.
versus tonight, it's going to be 10 p.m. kickoff East Coast time. That's tough for a lot of people to swallow.
And that was but since in 21 years, I'm pretty sure there's been some weekend 3:00 games since in 21
No, but
years.
like again, it's the Warriors. It's this fun Kings team. I mean, I said after game 1,
You did say
this is the most entertaining series as far as just aesthetically the basketball being played, and this is very interesting.
I think though, if the Lakers do pull it out, if the Warriors come back and pull it out, I think a weekend day should be able to top 10.4 million with Steph and LeBron.
Maybe, but sometimes that's overplayed. Like sometimes there's we've seen Steph and LeBron play 100 meaningful games.
Yeah, we have.
Like,
and it hasn't top
there's
10.4.
There's just a buzz about like this, the Warriors go down 0-2 and the Kings look like they're fun, watching them and play, and they are. I mean, like it just did everything lined up, and I think it just just worked. I don't go into this next assuming that the rating's just going to be better for being better. I mean, to this day though, the Lakers are not a good watch.
No, they're not.
Yeah, there's nothing great about watching them, and that's the thing. I really feel like anybody who's likes basketball at all, who's tuned into even like a quarter from this series, any of the 4 games, it would be like, damn, this is fun.
No,
both teams are like pushing the ball and making crazy plays, and it's like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, for sure.
And Fox has the injured finger tonight. I heard he's going to play, but we'll be interested to see if he's able to have like an efficient night, or if the finger's something that impacts his efficiency for the evening.
Yeah, the game has already kicked off. Got 4 minutes left in the first quarter. Kings up 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and also the Heat and Bucks up 4 with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Okay.
So we'll go home and be able to watch some good basketball here between those two games.
Captivating basketball.
Heat Bucks closeout game on NBA TV. NBA TV has always been like, that's the
bastard stepchild.
Yeah.
Of the NBA family.
That's the channel you don't want to be on.
You got Tim Legler at the half versus the TNT boys. Like, what do we got?
Not even Tim. Lesser than Tim. Damn, I can't even think of a name. Steve Smith. And
Steve
those guys.
Steve Smith is brutally dry.
He's
and boring.
brutal, man. But he's over there on that
Yeah.
TV.
Just can't get out of that NBA TV. Nobody's looking for Steve Smith.
Oh man,
to brighten up.
How do they not swap him out in 10 years?
I don't know.
Do they just not care about NBA TV at all? So they don't like TNT. They every couple of years you got somebody added to the thing. I mean, NBA TV, they're just rolling this out, man.
Yeah, no, they don't care, man.
And Steve is like, yeah, please don't pay attention.
You got to be
here.
like, I mean, but honestly though, like to be an NBA, like to watch NBA TV games, you got to be like a hoop junkie, like
a hoop junkie or a personal fan of one of those teams.
Yeah. But you're not watching it for the halftime thing.
No.
You're like, I just need to watch basketball. That's the game that's on. Or like you said, I'm a fan of the Bucks or I'm a fan of whoever. But yeah, it's no casuals at all at NBA TV.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh, that's too funny. But yeah, I mean, 2 great games. Hopefully they'll go down to the wire and we'll have some a reason to stay up late.
Yeah, that's it, man. Well, that kind of does it for us here this week. Anything you wanted to add here?
No, just super excited to watch these playoff games tonight and see what's up.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
All right, catch you guys next week.
Next week it is.